Hey, what's up? I'm Chasteen, Team Infinity member and currently an instructor at Reis Martial Arts. I started with Reis Martial Arts like maybe 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, but since then, since I started with them, I loved it. I started at a different karate school. They bought us out because one of our instructors left, but they closed down my location, so I had to go to their main location in Marshfield, Wisconsin. And that's basically where I started up my teaching career. But before that, I did teaching at my old school, Karate America. I got the belt right there. I'm a 3rd degree in karate, 2nd degree in taekwondo, but I've also done a few other styles like goju-ryu. I've tried shotokan, jiu-jitsu, all that kind of stuff. But a little bit about me. I'm 18 years old. I compete on this national circuit. It's called NASCA, North American Sport Karate Association. And I've been doing that since 2018 fully. So like 2018 was like my first full year on NASCA. I actually started in 2017, but I didn't do the full circuit. There was like, I think, something around 11, 12, 13 tournaments in the full season of the full year. But in 2018, that's when I started my first full year. I sent in points. I did almost every single tournament that year. From 2018, I won 4 world titles, which is super good. Since that's the first full year I did, that's the first year I sent in points, just the first year I did it, I won 4 titles, which many people don't do within the however many years they do it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe they don't win anything, but I did it, not to brag, I don't mean to brag like that, but I did it within that first year. The second year, 2019, that was my second full year. Same thing, I won the 4, and then I won an extra one, which was Team Sync with my partner Diego out of Miami. We met each other along the way, but in our Team Infinity days, we went to the same tournament, Diamond Nationals. We met, and that was the first time we met. Our friendship continued, our growth as teammates continued, and then we eventually just put a traditional style form together to compete with it on the NASCA circuit. And so then we won a whole bunch of tournaments. We won a whole bunch of tournaments, and we're still continuing to do our team form, and we're still winning on those tournaments. But other than the competing stuff, moving past that, teaching has become a super big part of my life. I love doing it. It's just an awesome thing that I've done since I was like 12, I think. I think I started when I was 12. I'm 18 now, so I've been doing it for that amount of years. I love seeing, like, if there's a kid, I don't care if it's an advanced kid, an intermediate kid, or a beginner kid, when they get a new move, or they get a new technique, or they just do something cool, or do something good, or just put their mind to it in a certain way, that's awesome for them. They get a smile on their face, which puts a smile on my face. It warms my heart and everything. I just love teaching the kids. It's awesome. And that's basically what I want to do for my life. I started karate when I was 7, and it was karate. It was American freestyle karate, which is a little bit different. I think we'll explain that a little bit more later on. But I started off under Mr. Tyler Hinkle. He started my school, actually, the school that I started at, he taught at. But Mr. Mike Welch started the school in Wisconsin Rapids. Then he left to Madison, that's where he moved to start his own school, which was Infinity Martial Arts in Madison. And now they have like 9 schools. But when I was 7, I joined Karate America, Wisconsin Rapids, with Mr. Hinkle. And since then, I'm a 3rd degree in karate, 2nd degree in taekwondo because of the way, just the cycle that I kind of went through. Grew up through Mr. Hinkle, did everything through Mr. Hinkle, started competing under Mr. Hinkle. That's when my competing, or my tournament and my forms took a huge step. I think I did my first tournament when I was a purple belt. I remember it was Bob Likes, I don't remember when it was, but it was Bob Likes tournament, I don't know what he calls it. But I remember that was the first tournament I won as a purple belt. I was so nervous. I went up to the judges. I was like, judges representing Karate America, Wisconsin Rapids, I am Connor, may I begin, that kind of stuff, and I was about to cry. I was so nervous. I was about to throw up. I remember before I competed, I told my dad, I was like, man, I'm about to throw up. I feel so bad. but I got through it. That was my first tournament ever I won. After that, I had steady success through what I did, became a black belt, and at Southern Wisconsin Open, ran by Jeff Christensen in Verona, Wisconsin. That was my first tournament as a black belt. And I think I got my black belt like a week before or 2 weeks before, but it was a huge eye-opener on the difference between a black belt level and the difference between a underbelt or colored belt level. First tournament, I walked in there, I did my same stuff with my same attitude, and I ended up not winning first. I won, or I didn't win. I ended up placing no higher than a third, I think, or no higher than a fifth. One of the two, no higher than a third or a fifth, but I did absolutely terrible. I got my butt whooped. But that was a huge eye-opener. So as my black belt progression, as my black belt attitude and determination progressed and advanced through my career, that's where I kind of got to where I am now. Competing on the circuit has changed my attitude, my training. Competing locally first was the biggest step towards getting a world championship title or getting just a national title on a circuit. Starting locally, my goal was to win almost every tournament I went to, at least one division, whether it was forms or whether it was weapons, at least one division every tournament, and then it progressed to, well, I know I can win a division, but I want to win the grands at almost every tournament that I go to, which eventually I did. I think almost everyone I went to I could win, or had the chance to win, a grands overall. At that time they ran 17 and under. So me as like a little, I don't know how old I was, 12, 13, me as like a 13-year-old competing against a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old was a huge difference. The power that a 17-year-old can have just looking at them, doing their form, doing their thing, compared to me as a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, a huge difference in just maturity and performance overall. But other than that, over the course of competing locally, winning my divisions, then winning my grands, then I could compete on the national circuit. You don't have to complete all that before you compete on the national circuit, but that was just how I had my goals lined up. Then once it came to the national circuit, again, there's a huge difference between that and a local circuit, or a local tournaments. Kind of how I got my butt whooped in the first black belt tournament that I went to. Same thing happened in the first national tournament I went to. I think I still got 8th place, at least. I placed top 8. I might have gotten 8th or 9th, something like that. But after that, competing, just getting top 8 was a huge thing, because those guys were good. Those guys were the ones to beat. So getting top 8 was my goal. Then eventually it grew to getting top 4 was my goal. Then eventually it was getting top 1, 2, or 3 was my goal. And then that's kind of where it stayed and where it's still at, because those top 3 and 4 and 5 are still super, super good. So if I can stay or maintain 1, 2, or 3, that's awesome in my book. But I won a couple world titles. I didn't win every tournament, but because of the way the points are lined up, that's just how the titles are. You accumulate points on how well you do. Maybe I did better even if I got second. I did better than this guy in third. I still get more points, and maybe it flip-flops once in a while, or once in a while I win, and that bumps everybody down in the points and everything. So that's how I win the titles. But getting on to how I started with Team Infinity and Mike Welch, Mr. Hinkle and him were friends. That's how they came to know each other. That's how, or Mr. Welch started at my school. Mr. Hinkle became a teacher at my school. They were friends growing up. They competed with each other growing up on the circuit and everything. Mike Welch is still a huge name on the NASCA circuit. He's well respected, well known. But when I was, let's say, like 14, I think, 13, 14. That's when I was bigger on the local circuit or local area. And Mr. Welch, Mr. Joseph Bine, who was another instructor for him at the time, they saw me. They were like, "Hey, you can come join our practices for Infiniteam," which was, they had Team Infinity at the time, which was a huge demo team. They did super well, and we're still doing super well. And then they created a junior varsity team, which I was invited to work out with and train with, to level up my forms and my tricking and my weapons and everything. That's who I ended up to train with. But during that time, I was given so many opportunities by my instructors. Mr. Hinkle left to teach with Mike Welch. And continuing my training with Infiniteam, I eventually became one of the varsity people on Team Infinity. I was invited to go on the demo team. I was invited to travel with the demo team. And that's basically where I ended up now. I got the uniform and everything. I represent them everywhere I go. But those people, those instructors have helped me get so far in what I do and what I love to do. And I'm so grateful for them. So thank you. I appreciate it. But other than that, I think that wraps up how I started and kind of the path I took to where I got to where I want to be. Alright, so a tournament I was recently involved with was Destin Open in Destin, Florida, hosted by Holly Ham. So thank you for hosting the tournament. But it was in a time of COVID-19. It was ran super smooth. It was ran super safe. But my results for the tournament were I won everything. It was sync. I did musical and extreme weapons. Musical and creative weapons. I dropped in creative, so I was disqualified, but I won musical. And then I did creative forms and musical forms, like open hand forms, and I won everything except the one I dropped with. But because I won, I got to move on to the grands, which I won forms grands and weapons grands. They were separate. But yeah, those are my results from that one. And also, there was a virtual tournament, my first virtual tournament ever. It was live, it was on Zoom. We had to turn on our music by ourselves, we had to record ourselves live, so we had to like set up a camera and everything. It was a different experience. I kind of liked it. It was kind of cool, but it's not the same as having like a crowd behind you or your teammates behind you saying go 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 and, you know, creating that extra adrenaline. So it was different, but it was kind of cool. It was an eye-opener for how do you say it, how self-motivated I am as a competitor, which I think I'm pretty self-motivated. But it was just a good eye-opener. It was a good difference and a good change of pace in what I normally do. But those are the two most recent tournaments. Okay, so one of the trophies that I wanted to show you, and the one that I think I'm the most proud of, is my diamond ring from Diamond Nationals in 2018. The reason this one's so important to me is because I've been going to Diamond Nationals. That was my first NASCAR tournament. I've been going to Diamond Nationals since 2011. And I grew up watching every great competitor compete on that stage, and I was like, man, one day I want to be on there just like them, doing my own thing though. And eventually I did. I made it happen, and yeah, I did my stuff. I worked super hard for it. It took many years to get there, but I finally earned my own diamond ring. So a tournament that made me feel the most nervous, obviously the one when I was a purple belt, the first one I ever did, that one was super tough for me. But other than that, Diamond Nationals in 2017. I always did Diamond Nationals. I started doing Diamond Nationals when I was a brown belt in 2011. Then I got my black belt in 2012. But Diamond Nationals I've done for a long time. That was the only NASCAR tournament that I've done for a while. But in 2017, I was on Team Infinity. I was in my stage of getting top 4 at everyone. That was still my goals. but I won a division, and then you go to what's called runoffs before you get to the main stage. In my division, I had to compete against some awesome people who I knew I could potentially beat, but I still had to do my best, and it was still nerve-wracking for me because I had people to represent. I had to do it for myself. I knew I could win. I had a chance to win, but I had to hold on to my weapons because it was a weapons division. But I don't know why, but I felt so much pressure and so much stress from that one. I ended up hitting my form as solid as I possibly could. I think I got second in that division. I don't think I won that one, but in 2018 I ended up winning it. So that was my comeback. But anyway, at Diamonds 2017, I think that was the most nervous I've ever been for a tournament. Just because of the pressure that was on me. It's not like I was like scared about what I could or couldn't do. It's just the pressure that was on me. I don't know, just the weight on my shoulders was super, super tough for me. So the first performance I have for you is a sport karate form, or an American freestyle type of form. It's with a whole bunch of, like, if you thought about like a superhero movie or a comic book, it's a whole bunch of cool, different hand techniques. Some are effective, some aren't. But it's a cool, innovative, it's a modern way to compete with a form. It's not your traditional, like, super slow and super controlled. I love traditional. I'm going to get to that one next. But this one is a made-up form. I made it up. It's what I compete with on the circuit. But yeah, sport karate, American freestyle, and here it is. And the next form I have for you, or kata I have for you, is from the style of Goju-ryu, which is one of the main traditional styles in karate. It's from Okinawa, and Goju means hard and soft. So you might notice then what I do is not all super hard and forceful and powerful as like Shotokan maybe, which is a super hard style compared to this. But it's hard techniques mixed in with some slow techniques which are super controlled. And within this martial arts style, there's a whole bunch of anatomy that comes along with knowing it. So it's not just doing a move, it's knowing how to work your body and just the body awareness that you need to complete a full kata. The kata I'll be doing for you is Anandai. So here's a section of that. And the last demonstration I have for you is with a pair of kamas, which is originally a farming tool used to cut down plants and everything. But for modern karate or sport karate, these are now used as a performance weapon. Still with basic or traditional cuts and strikes, they're still effective. But now with the modernness, we have manipulations, and you'll see a whole bunch of tosses within my routine that I do, that I compete with. So again, sport karate is with the cool stuff, the flashy stuff. Some is traditional, some is made up and wouldn't work, but it's all a part of making a performance, making something look cool. So here it is. My plan, I know where I want to be right now, but I'm not sure how to get there. There's a whole bunch of different ways I could get there through different people or different avenues, but my plan is to own my own martial arts school. Not necessarily in Wisconsin because it's too darn cold up here, but down south preferably, where it's warmer. But I think that's, my long-term goals. Short-term, keep teaching, keep perfecting what I'm doing. Competing, I'm still gonna do it. I still like to do it. I still love to do it. And seeing my friends and everybody who I competed with or teammates and at those tournaments is still fun to do. But yeah, competing, I still want to do it. I'm still training. I'm still working hard like I normally would. And teaching, I'm trying to get better every day. Every day is 1% every day. I'll keep grinding. But other than that, that's about me. A couple ways you can reach me if needed. Follow me on Instagram at Connor_Chasteen, CONNOR, Connor with an OR, _Chasteen, CHASTEEN, or find me on Facebook, Connor Chasteen. Again, same thing, OR, Connor with an OR, and Chasteen.